Hey friends, we are looking at the medieval garrison outpost by Insoon. This is set number HG1075 with 1,747 pieces. And in this video, we're going to do a 360 and then we'll zoom in, we'll take a closer look at the details. This set does not come with any minifigs, but it's minifig compatible, so you can add your own. It comes with everything you see here, and that includes this food cart, a rack of weapons, a sharpening wheel, and an anvil up in front. And it does have a lighting kit too. So as we go around, you can see some of the rooms are lit. We'll take a better look as we get closer, but there is one light here, one here, and then another one in here, and one more up here. So there's 4 in all, and they're 1x4 LED plates that attach to the roof of each of those rooms. There's also a furnace, and you can press a button to have that turn on. So we'll look at that too. The build continues all the way around. It has this really nice tree, and it's got a stable over here, and then the furnace in the middle. And so yeah, we'll take a look at all the rooms. Let's zoom in. Starting with the stable, here's the little horse that it comes with. The horse has a brush that's hanging off to the side. You can open up the gate and you can pull the horse out. What's unusual about this horse is that you have to assemble it yourself. So I've never had to assemble one of these before. They always just came in the bag from Lego, the way that they were, but I had to put in the legs and the body parts and the head and snap them all into place. I didn't mind doing it, and the horse just lives inside the stable right here. All right, and then I appreciate that they did a lot of blue. This is probably something taken from Lego's sets. They have different kinds of blue that they use for the roof tiling, which I appreciate because with medieval, you can sometimes end up with too much brown, what I call brown fatigue. All right, and there's the furnace right there. And let's take a look real quick at the back of that furnace. The back of the furnace actually has a lighting brick, and they have you build this or put this little pin in here and you leave it there. And I'm not sure what it is, other than maybe it's meant to be used to press and activate that furnace. So let's take a look at what that looks like from the front. That's what it looks like from the front. Let's zoom in. And it has a couple of flame pieces in there. It's pretty good effect. And then I think you just supposed to hang this back up. I'm not really sure. It would have been better if they had figured out a way for there to be a switch or trigger that could have activated it. I think that would have been a little bit better. All right, and then there is 3 floors, or actually 4 floors if you include the attic, for the main structure. So we're seeing the front door, a window, there's some logs hidden down here, a candle, and the rock work is really good on the side of this building. There's just so much variation, a lot of building on the side, and as you go up, it gets even more complicated. And that first floor there is actually the jailer's area, and here's some stairs. The stairs are really nice. They have a lot of variation. They look like they've been repaired. And then they also have some studs here and there for you to actually put a minifigure on. Here's the side of the building. Here's the door to the jail. And there's a little jail area inside. And then there's a jailer's bed and a key, all kind of tucked in there once you walk in. And the jailer has a view of the prisoner too, so they can see the prisoner off to the side. And this room has one of the lights stuck up into the top there. And all of the lights are powered by this battery box. And it just has this little switch on the side, flip it on and off. And it's one of those 2x4 style light bricks. It comes with the batteries also. And you can see the lights are everywhere, or sorry, the string is everywhere. And the string is just sort of strung around the model. They don't really have you hide it anywhere because I think they haven't figured out, or they didn't include methods to do that. Another window, handcuffs, and then a hammer right there. Coming around back, we see the back of the stable where you can have access to the horse from the back too, if you want to. And then the back of the tree. And the tree is really a pretty sturdy structure. I'm really impressed at how they built this up. I don't know if you can tell. It uses these circular pieces with the prongs, 4 prongs that come out of the side, but they've had you build it upside down and stick them into these cylinders. And once you've done that, it's actually so strong, and there's an axle that runs right through the core of it. It was so strong that it was very hard for me to press the tree into place. So that's not going anywhere. And all of these are really sturdy too, all this support with these sloped pieces. So pretty robust solution for how to mount the tree. We've also got a treasure chest here. So there we go, a couple ingots, 1 jewel. All right, and then going up to the second floor, you can see that there is a tiny little table there with some meat. There's also a bottle and a chair at that little table. And there are stairs that take you up to the third area, which is sort of like a study. So there's a map on a table there. And there's a couple of coins behind it, 1 gold one, 1 silver one, and then a candle. And you can see one of the lights right there, the 1x4 plate that lights it up. They're nicely done, and they're smooth on the bottom. They're a little bit like tiled on the bottom there. And there is a hanging lantern there. And up in this area, you actually have access to that balcony out in front. So let's take a look at the exterior for this second level while we're here. There's this door, and it's funny because it's pretty cramped. Once you open this door, you are right at that table, and there's actually very little room to move around that table. And then look at this work that they did for the exterior. It's just so cool. There's a lot of studs not on top building, and there's even some upside down building. So there's a lot of sideways building, some upside down building. The pieces come together really ingeniously as you're building this. And there's like these really nice ornate touches that are just sort of hidden in there, as well as these grills that create like shutters. Even these 1x1 plates are circular plates are really nice. And let's see, we'll go around to the front. You see the balcony here that you can have access to. And they've used these kind of notched 1x2 pieces really nicely to create that texture for the outside. I like the way they did the railing. There's a little bird. More stonework right here where you can see they've created this makeshift arch. And it's almost like it's been broken over time, or that's been repaired over time too. So you actually can see through it. So I like that they did all of that. And then they've gone ahead and shown where for the top structure, they actually have it larger than the street level, right? So the very top level gets wider and wider, and you have more and more square footage. And then once you get up here to this triangular area, it is pretty ornate, right? You've got 2 swords, you got a couple longer weapons, a gear right in the center. So it makes it very ornamental, very cool. And then, of course, for the roof, you've got more of this multicolored blue. So everything from this sort of aqua to light blue to normal blue. And they do this gradated effect. And the very top is almost this mossy. They're using sand green here, so it looks a little bit like moss up at the very top, with some repairs and some areas that are jutting out. Really well done. And they continue that on in the back here, and then inside there you can see a mouse with a piece of cheese just sort of hidden up there. And they do make it so that you can lift these roof pieces off pretty easily. They're just held in with a brick. So that was thoughtful. I thought they did a good job figuring out how to keep the roof in there with minimal effort. And inside there's a couple barrels, and one barrel has a fish in it. The other barrel has a couple of sausage pieces. And you can see the mouse there, the cheese, and you can see also they've built this little pillar to make this structure nice and sturdy. So the structure is not just held in place by these pieces, but rather you've got this horizontal plate on this vertical pillar. So it's nice and strong because of that. They did a good job there. And I think the other side also just lifts out too. I want to say, yeah, there we go. A little bit more ginger, but it also has one of those, like a 2x4 that keeps it in place. And then doing that, you then have access to the other side too if you want to look inside. Here's one of the side builds. It's a food cart. It's nicely built up with this patterned striped like roof. You can imagine it's maybe cloth. A couple sausages, drumstick, and there's bread. On the back here, you can see that there's cheese and a croissant, and there's a bag that's hanging off the side of it with green things inside of it. You have these nicely done tiny little wheels, little stands, and then you can imagine that the vendor picks it up from this side. And there's also, I'm not sure what this section is. It could be like maybe a grill or something like that. Something's cooking here. This actually folds up if you want it to. So you could go like that, tuck it up out of the way, and then you could, I think you can even tuck this up out of the way. There you go. And so now you can lift this whole thing and you can move it around. It also has a bucket hanging off the side and a flag, and it says food station. And the decorations that I've shown you, including this one, they're all printed. So there's no stickers with this particular set, which I appreciate. There's also a couple more things. So there's a rack of weapons, and they give you a good variety of weapons, 2 kinds of swords. And this spear, it's dual molded as far as I can tell. So the handle is a brown, and then the edge of it is kind of this shiny silver. I have never seen one from Lego that was dual molded, so that seems kind of special to me. There's also this wheel, and I want to say that this is like a sharpening stone, or sharpening wheel. You turn it and you can sharpen swords. And then you also get this little anvil build, pretty nicely done with this the Lord of the Rings sword that is a special one. And it's a nice little anvil build I've seen before. A little better base than I think I've seen on other builds, but it's nice that it includes that sword too. On some of my more recent Insoon sets, there's actually 0 leftover parts. And this one is one of those where there was absolutely 0 leftover parts, and there were no missing parts either. So it's really, yeah, again, I've said it before, I don't know if I should be impressed or terrified that that's the approach they took. But there was not a single stud left over, nothing left over. But it also wasn't missing anything. So I'm not sure what the philosophy is there, and whatever they're doing with the QA, it's working because it wasn't missing anything. But I think that's cutting it a little bit close. And then as far as the structure itself, I'm really impressed. I don't build a lot of medieval. but because the colors were um, bright on this one, there wasn't a lot of brown. It wasn't all brown, a lot of blues. And then of course the tree you can see is really beautiful and has a lot of orange and yellow and red. Because of those factors, I gave it a shot, and I'm really impressed with it, especially these sections here where they've used many different blues here. The different colors that they've added, I think, really add a lot to this model to make it unique and make it something that would look great in anybody's medieval build or layout. And like I said, everything is a print, including these signs you see here and there. There's a flag that's there in the center too. And then the light kit is a custom kit with custom lengths for the wiring. And if you wanted to, you could probably figure out a way to hide them a little bit better. But there's a lot of play opportunity. You can open up the roof. The entire back is opened up too to put your minifigures in. So I appreciate it. And the horse is really well done, and it's a pretty nice horse too. And it comes with that saddle too. So yeah, pretty good. If you like this video, hit like, appreciate that. And if you could subscribe, that would be wonderful too. Helps me keep making videos like this and sharing unusual finds with you. All right, thanks so much.